Okay, so the Houthis, the Ansar Allah movement, that is the government of Yemen, all right, has been militarily trying to penalize Israel for its ongoing genocide in Gaza. We will be talking about, I suspect, this exact thing later in the context nuke as well. But they've been doing that. They've been implementing a blockade on ships crossing the Red Sea, seizing ships that are owned by Israelis or commercial vessels that have links to Israel or are going to Israeli ports. And they very successfully actually shut down one of the two major ports in Israel, right? So they've been doing that. But then outside of that, they've also been testing like loiter munitions and also hypersonic missiles and numerous other missiles that they have been launching in the direction of Israel as well, because Israel has, of course, shown every single state actor and every single non-state actor in the region that they only back away when they are met with force. Okay? This, in and of itself, has been demonstrated with the way that Israel has retaliated back in an incredibly restrained manner when it comes to a country like Iran, as opposed to how Israel has retaliated to Lebanon, southern Lebanon, against Hezbollah, which has been incredibly violent, an incredibly bloody affair, and of course, Gaza. The Gaza Strip that Israel is the belligerent occupier of has been completely reduced to rubble because they are the most vulnerable. They have the least amount of power and military capability to resist against Israeli bombing campaigns. And that is precisely the reason why they get punished the worst. So the Houthis, who have been struck by Israel, by the way, on their civilian airport in Sana'a in the past, returned the favor yesterday or 2 days ago. They struck the Tel Aviv airport, the Ben Gurion airport in Tel Aviv. Now, that airport, just like the Sana'a airport, is a civilian airport, but it, of course, has military cargo as well. Most of these airports are dual use in that regard. But the reason why the Ansar Allah movement did this, or at least their statements as to why they were doing this, is because for two whole months now, Israel has denied humanitarian aid into Gaza. Gaza is at the precipice of famine. There are children. I believe 52 is the number of children that have died so far due to famine directly. Okay? It's been more than 2 months at this point, and it's gruesome. It's barbaric. It's very obviously a war crime. It is a genocide. So the Ansar Allah movement came out and said, we are going to make it so that Israel cannot maintain. We're shutting off the Israeli airspace, like civilian airspace. Okay, that's what they said, because Israel has been shutting off humanitarian aid in Gaza. We are going to shut off the Israeli airspace, and it worked. It actually worked in terms of like civilian and commercial airliners not coming into Ben Gurion Airport, at least for the next week. A lot of the commercial flights that were going into the Ben Gurion Airport have canceled the flights, and they are no longer flying in. Hold on, let me also show you the Ansar Allah statement really quickly. I think Ryan Grimm had posted about it. Yeah, here it is. Yemen's military announces that in response to Israel's plans to expand its operations in Gaza, the Yemenis will work to impose a comprehensive air blockade on Israel by targeting the country's airports, and asks that all airlines stop flying to Israel for its own safety. Ryan Grimm said, according to Israel, as quoted in the New York Times today, it is legal to block food from a population and bar them from traveling. It's not, by the way, but Israel says it is. Yemen now says it will shut down all air traffic into Israel in response to Israel shutting off all ground, air, and sea traffic into Gaza. So this is their retaliation. If you believe, as does every single humanitarian rights organization, as the members of the UN, as most of the planet with a heart, mind, and soul, that Israel is doing a genocide, that is understandable that there would be military resistance against that genocide, right? That's what has happened historically in the past. No matter how brown or scary or Muslim they might be, these are the guys that are trying to do anything they can to stop Israel from continuously killing Palestinian children. Okay? Israel, of course, returned the favor by doing what Israel does, the Dahiyya Doctrine, which is to punish the entire civilian population with a severe escalation of force, of military force. They pummeled, according to my on-the-ground sources. I don't know what Channel 4's coverage looks like, but I was talking to some people that I got direct feedback from. The Sana'a airport was targeted, seemingly rendered inoperable. There's not a confirmation for that yet. The Amran cement factory north of Sana'a was also targeted, which is a clear pattern forming, since they also struck the Bajil cement factory in Hodeidah, the country's largest cement factory. So they're basically hitting civilian infrastructure deliberately with the hopes of destroying the country's capabilities of rebuilding. You would not hit a cement factory for any other reason, right? And the reality of the matter is Israel doesn't even need to give a reason. They don't even need to say that they have weapons there, right? Like, they don't even need to say, like, oh, it's actually a weapons depot that we struck accidentally or anything like that, right? They're just deliberately targeting. They are deliberately targeting areas that are of commercial importance and areas that, or segments of industry that are important for everyday existence for the civilians. It's like, it's terrorism, but that's how Israel operates all the time. Anyway, here is what's left of the Sana'a airport after targeted Israeli airstrikes this afternoon. The civilian terminal was blown apart with planes burning on the tarmac. We are so used to the death and destruction brought about by Israel that these kinds of images, if returned, for the record, considering that there is now military capability in the region to do this to Israel, I need you to think how you would feel, or how Israel would behave if this image was coming directly out of the Ben Gurion airport. Not the first time Israel has struck Sana'a. If you recall, a couple months prior, Israel actually struck Sana'a, the Sana'a airport, when the World Health Organization's president was in the airport. Okay? Think about that. They struck the civilian airport with the fucking World Health Organization leader in the airport. Anyway, maybe there were Houthi command centers below. Yeah, exactly. Israel is on our side. They must have had a good reason to do this. Bro, we don't even have a good reason to do this. What are you talking about? It's just bullshit. Yeah, they blasted the Hodeidah port too. They're hitting civilian infrastructure in a way to cripple the entire population, in a way to harm the entire population. They are not interested in striking military positions. Israel never simply strikes military positions. Their goal always is to spread the pain, okay? Their goal has always been, consistently, to spread the pain across the board to every single civilian, every single time. And the only time when they don't do that is if the force that they are matching has the capabilities of also returning the favor. Think about what they did in Lebanon. Think about how much they bombed southern Lebanon. They bombed the shit out of southern Lebanon aggressively in an effort to decapitate the entire leadership structure of Hezbollah, which not only is a militant group, but is also directly a part of the Lebanese parliament. Okay, it's a political party. They have affairs and civil governance. They did an act of terrorism that was so insane that the former CIA head from the Obama era came out and was like, what are you guys saying? This is a severe war crime. This is a severe act of terror that will completely disrupt the way we do global trade. With their beeper attack, intercepting commercial use items and packaging it with explosives is an act of terror that a state committed, and it has been celebrated openly. People say James Bond shit when talking about this, but they don't understand what this means, right? They don't understand how damaging this is. Leon Panetta understands how damaging this is because he's the former head of the CIA. He's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? This was completely unacceptable. They blew up the faces of children, chat. They blew up pagers in the markets, disrupting regular use commercial technology, manufacturing, and the supply chain to booby trap beepers is completely illegal. It is like a war crime worse than using fucking what do you call it? A fire blower is what I was gonna say. What the hell is I'm forgetting the name now. Oh my god. Like it's like worse than, I mean, it's worse than napalm. It's worse than flamethrowers. Yeah, it's worse than white phosphorus even. And the reason why I say that, because Israel still uses white phosphorus all the fucking time, which is also a direct war crime. But it's worse than that because it sets an incredibly dangerous precedent. It has the capacity, if that favor is returned back to Israel or anywhere else, it has the capacity to completely destroy everything, like destroy global trade in general. I said fire blower. Anyway, here, this is what the firefighter said. This is a civilian airport. Where's the military? This is a civilian airport. What fault do civilians have? Then they need to travel for medical treatment. The entire Yemeni people are going abroad for treatment because of this bombing. This is barbaric. But I am sending a message to Saeed Abdul Malik al-Houthi and Yemeni armed forces. Bomb Tel Aviv. Bomb the airport. Destroy the airport. Yes to the air blockade of Israel. And don't cry over anything in the occupied territories. They're going to kill this guy and be like, he was a terrorist. Look, see, he's a bomb Tel Aviv. That is correct. Dude, Yemeni people, I will say this, okay? If you have ever met a Yemeni person, you know what the fuck that dude's talking about. They are some of the most resilient people I've ever fucking encountered in my entire life, okay? They are a different breed, I will say. They are a different fucking breed, dude. And it does not matter what their political opinions are across the board. Like, I know some Yemeni dudes who live in the United States of America. They're not Shia. They're not Zaidi Shia. They're not a part of the al-Houthi family. And they live here. So, you know, you can make inferences off of like what their political perspective might look like. And yet, they are all firmly behind the Ansar Allah movement, regardless of what their positions might have been during the internal conflict that was taking place, egged on by Saudi Arabia and the UAE, backed by our unlimited funds, targeting systems, and weapons. Okay? They are incredibly, incredibly resilient people. New reporting from Dropsite, Yemenis saying they will not, Yemenis after waves of massive Israeli bombings over 2 days, striking more than 20 times across 10 sites today alone. We will not leave Gaza. We will not leave Gaza. We will not abandon Gaza. Even if all of Yemen is wiped out, let nuclear weapons come. We will not leave Gaza. We will not leave Gaza.
والله كل ما ضربنا زادنا الا قوه واستنزاف تحت المدنيين واحنا بالشيارب حقنا في الخط العام مدنيين كلهم مدنيين
Anyway, do Yemeni unks stand on business? They are generally very chill and easygoing. I had a lot of Yemeni friends growing up in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to look at this and then think like these guys are playing around. They're not. They're not fucking playing around. This is, remember, chat, this is the poorest nation on the fucking planet. Okay? The poorest nation on the planet. Why do Yemeni rise so hard for Palestine? It feels like they're the only ones. Why do you think? Yemen has been disrupted by Western imperialism in perpetuity. So obviously, they feel some type of way about America, and by extension, America's most significant attack dog in the region, Israel. It's the same reason why Ireland has historically always felt some type of way about Israel. Yeah. The question you must ask yourself is, why did Mandela? Why did Fidel Castro? Why did they also always show support? Why did Cuba show support to the ANC? That's it. The reality is that victims of Western imperialism, victims of Western empire, victims of Western imperialism have always created a network of support with very little power that they have. With the little amount of power and influence and support that they can show, they still try to do whatever they can. America considers this the axis of evil. But as Americans, considering that we live in the bountiful, liberal, democratic country of the United States of America, we can make up our own minds, I think, about imperialism and whether or not these guys are the axis of evil or if we are the axis of evil.
Promised rolling retaliatory attack on the capital of Yemen continued this afternoon. Earlier, the IDF had warned people to leave the area around the main airport in Sana'a, then this. According to witnesses, there were 4 strikes. Targets included the runway, departures hall, and a military airbase under Houthi control.
Whoa! Whoa!
At the weekend, a Houthi missile landed near Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. The Iranian-backed group say they're trying to impose an aerial blockade on Israel, targeting its airports in response to plans to expand IDF operations in Gaza. As the strikes on Sana'a were happening today, Benjamin Netanyahu recorded this statement from the military control center.
Today, our aircraft attacked the airport in Sana'a, an airport that enables the terrorist army and the aerial access to the terror state that facilitates the launching of missiles against us.
Today's strikes come a day after the port of Hodeidah in Yemen was also hit. The US and Britain have been targeting the Houthis as well, an effort to protect international shipping attacked in the Red Sea. A few hours ago, with the airport still smouldering in Sana'a from the Israeli attack, Donald Trump announced that the Houthis had given up the fight against commercial ships.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that, and we will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated.
Is there a deal? Did Israel get the memo? We'll see. It all brings us back to Gaza, of course, the reason for the Houthis' attacks. If they are capitulating, it's not because the Israeli position has suddenly softened. Their latest plan, hundreds of thousands of Gazans forcibly moved to the south of the Strip, and a new, much broader...
I cannot believe that Operation Protect Amazon Prime has once again come to a close. Well, better luck next time, I guess. You know what would really make this better? You know what would make me feel better? Bombing Yemen again. You know, when you get bored, you bomb Yemen. That's what you got to do. If you're an American president, what you have to do is bomb Yemen. It's like, it's just a part of the process. You know, you just have to bomb it a little bit. You know, you have to a little bit. Obama did it. Trump did it. Trump's first action was literally a strike team in Yemen, sending a strike team in Yemen that actually failed. The operation that was like incredibly bloody for no reason. Joe Biden did it. Trump did it again. He's doing it right now. Yeah, they're calling it Operation It'll Work This Time. Why do you rightfully condemn America's genocidal actions but encourage the genocidal actions of non-Western aligned countries? You seem to do the same with the IDF and Hamas all the time. Explain to me, what is the genocidal action? I like that dudes will do the double genocide theory while one side is doing a genocide and the other side is resisting. Do you think that the American government and the Allied forces were doing genocide to the Germans and the Italians, the fascists? Do you think that's what World War II looked like? Were both sides doing genocide? I can't believe the Allied forces were doing genocide to the Germans in World War II. Anyway, let's continue.
Deeper military offensive. The hope in Gaza is that this plan is an extreme negotiating position by Israel and that it's no accident it was announced just before Trump's visit to the Middle East next week. Part of the reported Israeli plan, a limited number of aid distribution points administered by military contractors designed to get the population to move. Cue universal condemnation from aid agencies.
Clearly, this is something which is extremely concerning. We have to imagine that population has to actually go to military zones or zones controlled by the military to get humanitarian aid. We understand that there would be facial recognition systems that could be used. You cannot use humanitarian aid as a bait or a way to attract population to certain areas.
Donald Trump has alluded to a big announcement ahead of his trip to the Middle East next week. What will it be? Is it even related to Gaza? And if it is, what difference will it make to the people in the queues desperate for food?
Paul O'Brien reporting. Well, I'm joined now by Brigadier General Amir Avivi, who previously served in the Israeli Defense Forces and founded the Israel...
Yeah, I got it. I'm going to show that too. So, from what I understand, by the way, here's Jordan Fabian, White House editor for Bloomberg News. In a subsequent interview with Bloomberg News, Mohammed al-Bukhaiti, a member of the Houthi political council, said the group's operations in the Red Sea and Israel will not stop regardless of the consequences until the end of the aggression on Gaza and the blockade on its people. So Donald Trump is doing the thing that he did with Xi Jinping, where he's like, I talked to the Yemenis. They're great people. They're going to stop it. They're going to stop it. I told them I'm bombing them so good. And they said, Mr. President, you have the best bombs. You have scared us. You have scared us into submission, Mr. President. And the Yemenis are like, no. The Yemeni political council is like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? No, we're just, I mean, sure, okay, great. Thank you for no longer bombing us, I guess. But we're going to keep going. I think the only thing that the Ansar Allah movement has been talking to America about was the fact that they were not going to they were going to continue disrupting shipping, but they would not attack American Navy assets. They said, I remember a couple of weeks prior to this, they said that they would stop attacking American Navy vessels as long as America stops bombing Yemen. But they never said that they would stop bombing or stop, not bombing, but like stop the disruption of commercial shipping that's going to Israel or is related to Israel. Everything that they're doing against Israel's genocide will continue, is what they said. Yemen's operations have been and continue to be in support of Gaza, aiming to stop the aggression and allow the entry of aid. Our operations against the American warships are a response to the U.S. aggression that seeks to halt Yemen's support for Gaza. Yeah, that's it. They're saying they will not stop disrupting commercial shipping, but they will. Oman didn't lie. It's Trump lying. Trump is lying. Do you understand? Trump is trying to look for a W here, and basically the only W he can get out of it is that Yemen says they won't hit the Navy vessels. They won't hit the Navy vessels of the United States of America. They never said that they won't target ships that are headed, commercial shipping that is headed towards Israel. Okay? He is trying to get a W out of this. That's it. It's no different. This is no different than when Donald Trump came out and talked about how Xi Jinping is begging to call me. He's begging to call me. Xi wants me. He wants me bad. He wants me real bad. That's it. That's what this is. Please call me Xi. Following recent discussions and contacts conducted by the Sultanate of Oman with the United States and the relevant authorities in Sana'a in the Republic of Yemen, with the aim of de-escalation, efforts have resulted in a ceasefire agreement between the two sides. In the future, neither side will target the other, including American vessels in the Red Sea and Bab al-Mandab Strait, ensuring freedom of navigation and the smooth flow of international commercial shipping. The Sultanate of Oman expresses its gratitude to both parties in their constructive approach that led to this welcome outcome and hopes that it will lead to further progress on many regional issues towards achieving justice, peace, and prosperity for all. Neither side will target the other, including American vessels in the Red Sea. I think when they say American vessels, they're talking about the American Navy vessels and not commercial shipping. The U.S. has had enough of Middle East conflicts, and Trump understandably does not want to be dragged into more pointless and bloody quagmires. His decision to make a deal with the Houthis and avoid a new war reflects this public sentiment. I don't know about that. Did I miss the context nuke reaction? No, I'm going to start it at 1. I wanted to do, obviously, the real news first because this is pretty fucking important. But yes, so important context. Ansar Allah, the Houthis have made it clear that they will not cease their Red Sea maritime operations against Israel. They offered to stop attacking U.S. ships if the U.S. stopped bombing Yemen. Ansar Allah said it's coordinating its operations with the Palestinian resistance. Also, Trump claimed Ansar Allah capitulated and doesn't want to fight. This is clearly false. Ansar Allah has made it clear it will not cease until the blockade is lifted against Gaza and that it will take its lead from the Palestinian resistance forces on the ground in Gaza. Mohammed al-Bukhaiti confirms Ansar Allah's position following Trump's remarks. This is exactly what Bukhaiti told Dropsite News on April 10th when we first reported the offer by Ansar Allah. This is where I got that information from. On April 10th, they said, if America ceases to bomb, if America stops its bombing campaign in Sana'a, in Yemen in general, we will stop bombing American Navy vessels. And in that process, by the way, in the process of Yemen bombing American drones, like blowing up American drones and attacking American naval ships, remember, they literally got a F-18, okay? They got numerous scalps. They took out 21 MQ-9 Reaper drones, 30 million a pop. They even were able to put a number on the board for fucking an F-18 fighter jet. 22 now, apparently. I thought it was 21. 22 jets. One that fought one another accidentally, and then the second one that fell off of an aircraft carrier when the aircraft carrier was trying to do an evasive maneuver where an F-18 fighter jet and the tractor, I guess, that was like holding it, both fell off the side of the ship. Houthis have been popping MQ-9 Reaper drones like it's candy. Yes, there was a couple months prior, I don't even remember if it was under Trump or under Brandon, where although the Houthis do not even have a fucking air force, they have like one super old plane that they bring out in ceremonies or whatever. The American Navy actually ended up dropping one of their own planes. The American Navy ended up dropping one of their own planes. The jets themselves are like 60 to 80 million a pop. The MQ-9 Reaper drones are 30 million a pop. Okay? $30 million a piece. Yeah, here, this is what I'm talking about. The U.S., this was 4 months ago, or this was on December 2024, okay? So under the Brandon leadership, U.S. shot down 2 of its own Navy pilots over the Red Sea in an apparent friendly fire incident. Pilots recovered alive, one with minor injuries after ejecting from the fighter jet, as U.S. military says its guided missile cruiser mistakenly fired on the F-A-18. So they dropped, on accident, another F-18. Under the Trump administration, Trump restarted Operation Prosperity Guardian and greatly escalated the attacks on civilian infrastructure in Yemen. Okay. And in that process, during evasive maneuvers on an aircraft carrier, they dropped one of the F-18s into the water. Or at least that was the claim. Both of the 2 major U.S. aircraft carriers deployed to the Red Sea are thousands of kilometers away from the nearest Yemeni shore. They've lost multiple MQ-9 Reaper drones every week since March. They've lost 2 F-18 fighter jets, one to alleged friendly fire, and the other slipping off the ramp and into the bottom of the sea. They've lost like 4 Navy SEAL frogmen to fuck all, and with every bomb they've ever dropped, the immediate local response has always been, "We will never abandon Gaza." A statement repeated every single Friday when millions of Yemenis take to the streets to reaffirm their loyalty to Palestine. Now, the question is simple. There have been moments where Yemen has stopped its disruptive operations, stopped its disruption and halting of commercial shipping. The only time when they've done so is during ceasefires. So clearly, America has the option of reining Israel in and telling Israel, don't do this genocide any longer. It takes one fucking phone call. And both administrations so far, both the Brandon administration and the Trump administration, have looked at that dynamic and said, on the one hand, I can make one phone call and tell Israel to cut it out, and they cut it out tomorrow. On the other hand, I let Israel keep doing a genocide, keep killing Palestinian children over and over and over again every single day with our weapons, with our taxpayer funds, okay, with our munitions, and then stop those who are trying to put an end to this genocide by bombing additional targets. It's incredible. One phone call versus another multiple billion-dollar operation where you kill a shit ton of civilians in Yemen now directly. It makes no sense. It is so ridiculous that even the American conservative journal was like, please stop bombing Yemen. What the fuck are we doing? The ink on the agreement hasn't even dried yet, and MAGA already got their talking points. All the narratives are wearing off. Vietnam was pointless and we lost. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Afghanistan was a waste, and we gained nothing from any of those wars. Saudi Arabia has nuclear weapons, and the 19 terrorists from 9/11 were all Saudis. Did we go to war with them? No. North Korea has nukes. Little Rocket Man hasn't blown us all up yet, but we were told he was going to. Pakistan and China have nukes as well. I love this kind of shit coming from the Republicans, by the way, because that means Asmongold is inevitably also going to repeat this kind of perspective. And he will find himself saying, yeah, based, when talking about Yemen and how peaceful they have been, you know? Big bad Russia has nuclear weapons. We were told Putin was going to sweep across Europe, just like Hitler, and that hasn't happened yet either. And he couldn't take Ukraine in 3 years. We've been told Iran is on the verge of having nuclear weapons at any moment for as long as I can remember. People just don't care anymore because none of these things actually affected our lives until they were in the military and shipped over to these foreign countries and blown up. But what has directly affected Americans and people I know is the cartel's constant flow of drugs into every single city in America and cartel crime and murder. I have never seen a Houthi, nor has anyone else I know. But what everyone knows is that for some reason we don't attack the real enemy that kills Americans every single day, Mexicans. No, we have to run off and bomb some country somewhere else in the world because we are told they are the bad guys, even though they never did anything directly to Americans like the cartels have. Let's invade Mexico, please, instead of invading countries over there. I would love to bomb Mexico. It's so funny for her to say this because, like, she's literally doing that, but this time for Mexico and Mexicans. Okay, where she's like, she's like, why are we bombing the Houthis? We should be bombing Mexico, and it's we've been told that these guys are our enemies, but the real enemy is the Mexicans, and it's like, no, you're telling people the enemy is Mexicans. If you want to fucking disrupt the cartel, undermine the American State Department, okay, like. In your fantasies, what? You're going to start fucking using Reaper drones on the cartel. Okay, fine. You're going to kill a bunch of CIA agents and a bunch of DEA agents. On the one side, you got the DEA. On the other side, you got the CIA. You have special forces operatives. You're killing them all. You're killing a bunch of... You're going to find out that you've killed a shocking number of American assets in the process, okay? But of course, that's not what their intention is. Their intention is to use some kind of justification to fucking invade Mexico because they're insane. Oops, I cannot believe it. I did not realize how many of the cartels were actually completely controlled by the CIA, with many actual DEA agents and CIA agents working within the ranks of the cartel. DEI, DEA, these things confuse me. So yeah, Trump going into de-escalation with the Houthis is good. I don't know if he's being honest about that because I feel like Benjamin Netanyahu is going to give him one phone call and be like, "What the fuck are you doing? You need to keep bombing Sanaa," and we shall see. Yeah. This is an old statistic from March 17th, 2025. This is quite a statistic. The U.S. Navy has used more missiles for air defense, in air quotes, since combat operations against the Houthi naval blockade in the Red Sea off the Yemeni coast began in October 2023 than it used in all years since Operation Desert Storm in the 1990s. In 15 months, the Navy fired more air defense missiles than it did in the last 30 years. So tell me, you can keep saying these guys are terrorists, this or that, but you have to have a real reason for it. And you cannot say something that they've done that Israel has done 1,000,000 times over. Okay? Is it worth it? Has this been worthwhile? Is this a worthwhile endeavor? I don't think so. Especially because on the other side, it's not like these are unreasonable people. Very clearly, there is something that the American government could do here, which is to get Israel to stop killing Palestinian children. If Israel were to stop doing its genocide, then as these guys have stopped disrupting commercial shipping in the past, they will do it again. They will stop disrupting commercial shipping. They will stop overtaking ships if they are going to Israeli ports. Okay? It makes no